Welcome to Coach Hayes Football Live. He can talk about anything from high school to the pros. This guy knows the game, so you better not be half-stepping.
I can guarantee you most of the audience is going to agree with me before they agree with you.
Strap in, because Coach Hayes is about to
crack your cranium and fertilize your brain. Go ahead and right here, right now.
Subscribe now and check out CoachHayesFootball.com.
We going back to back. In the words of Drake, we going back to back. Just jumped off. We already got 33 people in the building. I know we'll easily have over 300 for this exciting topic tonight. This is actually part 2, but we just jumped off the Coach Me Coach podcast, episode 30. Now we on episode 31, literally 5 minutes later. So we about to make this thing happen, man. So guys, strap in, like they said, man. Check it out. We got a great topic tonight. We're talking about what challenges will Deion Sanders face at Colorado. Everybody and their mom has been talking about this, and this is the kind of impact Deion Sanders has had in football. Everybody's talking about this. People have started podcasts just to talk about this. They started a whole YouTube channel, and their first video is Deion Sanders. You understand what I'm saying? The very first video is Deion Sanders. And so therefore, guess what? Here we are. I had a very good and excellent interview with Steve Kim, who's on Fearless, with Jason Whitlock. You see him quite a bit over there with Footballville and Streeter. We had a chance to meet, man. We hung out. We talked about it. An excellent interview, about 3 hours. But, man, trust me, it is filled and packed with information, great outlooks, and great input. I'll say this before I bring my guest in. Been getting kind of mixed reviews, and that's cool. I knew that was going to happen. But I want people to clearly understand my point of view of this. I am not mad at Deion Sanders. I am disappointed for HBCUs and the limelight that was shined. That light is no longer, that light has been dimmed on HBCUs because it can easily go away. I say that, and one of my biggest points of view on it was very simple. I don't think he had enough time on task to embed the true change in HBCU football. That was my only gripe. And my second part was I was only holding him accountable for things that he said, not what I wanted, what he said about he was there, not just to coach football, but make changes in the community. And people can say, oh, well, in 3 years, coach, he did that. Yes, he did. But it was also a lot of things talking about changing the culture. And it's very hard to change a culture, i.e., for my Miami Hurricanes out there, we already talked about Coach Cristobal. You got to give him time to change the culture. Well, he'll be on year 2. How fast will that happen for him? So therefore, for a guy that comes in and makes an immediate impact, an immediate spark, not just at Jackson State, not at Jackson, the city, not at HBC, but HBCUs across the country. I think he needed more time on task to build up everything so everybody could buy in. Everybody's not going to buy in immediately. All other schools, they think they've been doing it like that 50 years. This is how we do it. I.e., he ain't swag, I'm swag. And I get it. But we got to make sure, I just want to be clear on that point. But I got 2 guests that, one you know very well, one I want to introduce because I think this dude is on it. And we're also going to talk about the challenges that Deion is going to be facing as he gets to Colorado, and they've already began. They have already began. People have dissected his introduction speech. They dissected his coaches that he's bringing in. They're dissecting how he brought in his son. We're going to get into all of that stuff. But before I do, y'all know my man V12 already, but I do want to bring this up. I'm going to introduce him first. One of my classmates from Hampton University, the illustrious, the real HU, the home by the sea, them Pirates, baby. See it over there. Let me pull that camera over there. That flag fly there. You see that thing flying? Them Howard Bison see that flag, they know to tuck tail and run. We don't play them games. But this young man is named Carlos Locke. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I want to put this up on the screen before I do anything. He has actually written a book on HBCU football, and I'll let him explain that himself as I bring him in. Let me tell you something. Here it is right here. Black college football. Let me get this logo out of the way. The game that time forgot. And this was written way prior to Deion's situation. And I think it's very relevant to what's happening today. The game that time forgot. HBCUs was prevalent in football, producing NFL players. Integration happens. Start taking some of the top players out, going to weren't Power Five, called that at that time, but your PWIs, which is still a new term. And HBCU football kind of went down. Now it's almost an afterthought. People don't even think about it. All right. And so therefore I'm going to bring him in. So y'all do me a good favor. Y'all clap it up for my man. Carlos Lock in the building. You got to unmute yourself, brother. Go.
Oh, no, brother, I already did that. Hey, man, I appreciate you for having me on and, man, and giving me the plug and put me on your platform to be able to talk and discuss my book and where everything came from. So, hey, brother, I appreciate you. And, hey, man, what you want to know and how you want to know it, I'm here for you.
Well, real quick, just let them real quick know your background.
I got you.
What you doing? Everybody know that dude right here. Everybody knows you. Go ahead, Los. Talk to him.
So you know, I'm born and raised, man, in Jackson, Mississippi. So I grew up a big time Jackson State fan. So much so, man, I used to sell programs in that stadium as a 10-year-old and 11-year-old. So I got some blood, sweat, and tears invested in Veteran Stadium. I had an opportunity, you know, because I didn't know anything about the East Coast and everything, but one of my aunts was a professor at Hampton University. And when I was a senior, she said, hey, man, come check me out. And, man, I went there for a summer, and it just, man, it blew me away. It's like, bro, this is where I need to be. And I signed up, you know, went to Hampton University fall of 95. And if you know anything about going to a private HBCU, man, that thing is expensive. And so my aunt sent me over to the Army ROTC people, man, and I met the qualifications. I signed up. So I did Army ROTC to be able to afford to pay for school. So, you know, I did, you know, my time at ROTC. I commissioned in 1999 and entered the Army as an officer, as a second lieutenant. And initially, bro, I only wanted to do 4 years, but, man, that thing turned into a 20-year career. And I retired a lieutenant colonel, and I ultimately settled down in Columbus, Georgia. And the book came about because, you know, when the world started sitting still, because, you know, Brother Kyle, we was just at Hampton Homecoming in 2019, doing it big, living it large. And then COVID hit. And then everything just kind of shut down. And so, you know, for me being an Army dude, you know, it just reminded me of being on deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. So I said, man, this ain't nothing for me to sit still and move. And so as I was just sitting down and exercising and doing my stuff, somebody called me and started talking to me about, hey, man, which HBCU classic you think is the best classic? And I was like, man, brother, at the moment, I got to give it up to the Magic City Classic. I'm going to give it up to Birmingham because what Alabama State and Alabama A&M got going on, man, that thing is significant. You know, Katrina significantly impacted the Bayou Classic. Obviously, the Bayou Classic is coming back because it's New Orleans, and a lot of people don't really think about Birmingham like that, especially if you've never been. And so when the brother said that to me, man, I went to sleep and I couldn't sleep. And, man, I woke up and I got behind my computer and I just started typing everything that I knew about black college football from my first game. So the first game that I ever attended HBCU was 1983, Jackson State versus Mississippi Valley. And I had the privilege to watch Jerry Rice and Willie Totten play. And they beat the hell out of Jackson State that day, you know. And Archie Cooley, the gunslinger, was not playing with my boys. Man, I was so sick how we got the beat down that night. And then I was fortunate by happenstance, the next game I came to, which is notably and arguably the largest SWAC game ever. And that was 2 weeks later, Alcorn played Mississippi Valley. And the game was supposed to be in Itabena. But because the attraction and everything was so big and the buzz around the city was so heavy, they moved it to Jackson. And, man, about 64,000 people packed that thing out. And I forget Alcorn State's coach, but he had a hell of a game plan. He slowed Valley and Jerry Rice down that day, and they won. You know, usually Jerry was going for about 200 yards a game. That game, he might only had about 150 or whatever. But Alcorn pulled a victory out. And then for me, those things just like boom. So again, as I started writing the book, it's like, okay, let me talk about because obviously I didn't go attend Jackson State at all. I'm what you call a sidewalk alum. I support J State, and I always will support J State because, again, that's just in my DNA. And then I started thinking about Grambling and Eddie Robinson, what he did, because I think they laid the foundation for HBCU football. Because what he did, a lot of people didn't realize he had a lot of ties with the NFL. That's why Doug Williams and the brother Shaq Williams was so successful to be able to have NFL careers because he knew he had to have good quarterback play. And he was one of the first coaches, that went out there and did it. And then obviously I had to talk about my time at Hampton, because we dominated the CIAA so bad we had to leave. And so we joined yep. And so we joined the MEAC. And then we joined the MEAC, and within 2 years, Coach Taylor had us dominating the flipping MEAC. And one of the best games that I ever see, and again, it's something I talk about in the book, was when we played William and Mary. And because the crazy thing about that was it was a home and home series. We went up the road to Williamsburg at the Zabel Stadium, man, they beat the brakes off of us. But the next year they had to come to our stadium. And man, that thing was like a heavyweight bout. It's like they hit us, we hit them, we were scoring back and forth, but then it was a controversial play, right? Where everybody thought it was some white black stuff. And
he was down. He was down.
Hey, I write in the book his ass did kiss the ground, no doubt about it. His ass kissed the ground. But the crazy thing about that is our president, he's no longer the president, but Dr. Harvard, that man came out that press box on that field to try to remedy that play that day. That was just so crazy. And the other crazy thing about it was we were one of the few HBCUs during that time where we had a replay screen. And that thing played over and over again. Man, everybody was pissed. And unfortunately, man, the team just couldn't rally back to get their situation together. And we ultimately end up losing the game. Some of the other things I talk about in the book, man, is like I'm a big proponent of. It's like, when it comes to black people and what we're trying to do, as men, as black men, we got to have our black women with us too if we're trying to elevate as well. We got to stop trying to push them to the margins if we're trying to push the culture forward. They got to be along with us too. So I talk about that in the book. And then ultimately, my ideal is this. Most people don't, if you put black in front of anything, that means it's anti-white, it's anti-Korean, it's anti-Jewish. Like, them people don't give a shit about black nothing. And then we got a lot of black people that don't really care about black college football anyway, if you're not an HBCU alum. But I'm like, if it's our game and it's our thing, let's make it our way. So for me, I had proposed something, in the book to where it's like, we have 4 predominantly black conferences. We have the CIAA, we have the SIAC, we got the MEAC, and we got the SWAC. And I understand that the SIAC and the CIAA are Division II, which is lower level. Nobody likes to give a lot of Division II a lot of love. But to me, man, I would love to see, the replication of a 4-team playoff system. So you win your conference and you pit all 4 HBCUs against each other to see who hosts the trophy at the end of the day. And like for me, my thing was, we do it by record. And whoever got the best record, you host that semifinal game. And then we pick a place for the championship game at. So we make sure we all come out and support it. I know, like, I spent a lot of time around a lot of SWAC people. And obviously SWAC people, you can't tell SWAC people nothing. And even after writing the book, the thing about the book made me pony up too, because everybody's always talking about want to see receipts and what people do. So I live in Columbus, Georgia currently, because I basically retired out of Fort Benning. So the closest SWAC school to me is Alabama State. And so, I put my money where my mouth is, and I bought season tickets to Alabama State. So that's how I get my SWAC fix throughout the year. The other thing I do is I try to go around the country to check out all classics. I've been to the Aggie Eagle Classic. Me and you caught up with you back in 2016 at the Florida Classic.
Ran into each other,
exactly.
Orlando.
Yeah, and then I like the way we kind of got it going with this SWAC MEAC challenge, because this year that's how I opened my season. So I was at the SWAC MEAC challenge to begin the year, and then obviously, as the season closes out for us, I'll be at the Celebration Bowl December 17th. And even if Jackson State wouldn't have made it, I was still gonna honor my tickets and still pull up.
I got you. 12, you in the building, baby. I see you got your TSU T here for Tennessee State. STAT. I don't know how to do it. Talk to us, man.
Hey, you're not supposed to know how to do it. You're not supposed to know how to do it. Hey, You better tell Los that time when I called you from that first homecoming and you were like, dog, I wish I was up down there with you at TSU. That's how y'all doing it. That's freshman. That's 1995, Los. So don't let Coach tell you anything. Hey, listen, I had the long cord on the phone. I had to dial 1 and put my number in my phone call to call my dog. And we live. I wish I was there. So don't let them fool you, Los. I know y'all had a good time, but I know the real deal. But no, listen, man, I appreciate you writing the book. Hey, man, it's dear to my heart. Again, as an alumni, and also, I played a little bit of ball in the beginning, that didn't work out. And so, you hit it right on the head, man. We definitely have to own a lot of this, and we have to garner more support. I know we're probably going to get into it with Coach. Of course, Deion brought a lot of attention, a lot of spotlight to HBCU, especially the football aspect of it. But we got to remember, and I think now that comment rings so true now than it did back then when he said Deion is not SWAC. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying Deion is not and will never be the savior of Black college football. It's going to be here. It was here before Deion, and it's going to be here after Deion. Let's rock and roll. And I'm with Deion. I'm happy he's doing what he's supposed to do. But I'm tired of people putting the savior on this guy. He's a man like anybody else. And you talk about Eddie Robinson, the late great men like that. We are lifers, and we owe we owe them. Deion did his thing. Don't get me wrong, but like the brother says, it's more poignant now than ever. He came, he got an opportunity, he did some awesome things, and he rolled out.
All right, so let's get this thing rocking and rolling, man. We spent about 17 minutes on intros, so let's ride. You understands me? All right, so take it from based on what you just said, 12. You are a person, because here is the thing. The Black community is divided on this. The Black community is divided on it's not his responsibility to save HBCUs. Then there is another section of the Black community that says, man, you just left them kids high and dry. So, Los, what's your take on it? We kind of tell what 12's take on it. Y'all know my take already. I said my piece, so I'm not really going to get into this. Y'all want to know my real piece? Well, check out the podcast from 2 days ago on Saturday night. I'm just talking about this, and then I'll dive more deeply into some of his future things that may happen. But Los, what's your take? Are you on the side of he's not the savior for HBCUs like 12, or are you on the side of, man, he could have done more, or he should have stayed? Is he a lifer? What? Talk to us.
Man, I'm all of the above. So I'm with 12 on that, man. No, he's not the savior. We the savior because we've been here and we're gonna be here. And you got a lot of dedicated SWAC folks. Even when Jackson State was down for like the last decades, folks were still coming to the game. Obviously, it wasn't the way that I remembered in the late 80s and mid 90s, where we would keep about 50-some thousand people there. Still 35, 40 folks still coming out to support it. I think the thing of it is that light that he's shown, only he could do that to kick a lot of doors down the way that he did. And in the city, again, I always pray for my classmates. I got classmates that's educators, that's first responders down there, that's lawyers down there. Everybody plugging away, even city council people, everybody plugging away, trying to make things better in Jackson because the city is downtrodden. You had the water issue. You had, crime and killings is what they are. But what he brought was a significant distraction. And we didn't get caught up in all that doom and gloom. Even when the water situation was all bad and he moving around, everybody know it, everybody still plugged along and was still fine. And that's kind of my thing of it. I was, been nice if he'd have stayed a couple of more years. And I think, you and Steve Kim talked about it. In order for it to be the difference between a moment and a movement, in order for it to come to the point where it was a movement and all this stuff, because everybody's still in this word, like Shannon Sharp and all them folks, oh, it's the blueprint. No, brother, the only way that thing could have been a blueprint if he stayed 5 to 7 years longer. You can't come in there and think that you can architect some stuff and think somebody gonna come in there and do what Deion did. Hell, the SWAC commissioner can't even do what Deion did. He didn't even realize how big it was to now, because now he got to work now, right? because a lot of this stuff Deion was doing. Because even to V12, I hate the fact that Jackson State and Tennessee State's not playing anymore. You know what I'm saying? That should never happen. You know what I'm saying? And again, I didn't like the fact even that Bethune-Cookman and FAMU left the MEAC to join the SWAC, because again, now we bring down the MEAC and then we kind of elevate the SWAC. And so it's like, man, do we care about our black colleges or don't we care about our black colleges for us to stay put? And then even some of the things that he was saying. And it's like, you can't say all this stuff and then kind of vote the way that you did. I'm not like most Jacksonians, like most of my classmates, most of my neighbors and everybody, none of us are mad because he left. The issue of it is now you about to rape, rob, and pillage us to put us right back there. And then it goes back to something you said, Brother Kyle, when you talked about it the other day. If our own can't see the best in us, how we think somebody else gonna see the best in us? You know, and that's the biggest thing about, you know, his departure and the way that he left, and the fact that he's gonna take a lot of those good players with him, because those players came because of him. You know, those players came because of him. Even the kids that was about to commit to Jackson State, now they like, I'm out. I'm going a whole different direction. You know, and one of the comments he made, this is the last comment I made, and I'll let y'all get in this thing, is like, okay, Coach Prime, we know you black. And then I got to steal something. I got to plug in some of my young kings. Brothers do a podcast called Swacking the Fool, GSPN them. They don't even call him by his name. They call him Mr. Colorado. So they said, you know, Mr. Colorado then went over here and did this thing. And man, we know you black. We know you kind of, you know, care about black people, but man, you could have did so much more for us, because even when we get into the challenges that he's gonna have, his message resonates more with our community than it will with those kids. Because most of those kids in Colorado are privileged kids. You know, he down there at Jackson State, man, he is like these, and whatever he tell these kids to do, how to dress, where to go in class, they not gonna give him no pushback. You know, and so that's the biggest disappointing thing about it. I think, like from my foxhole, from all the games I go to, and everything he said and everything he meant, because when he initially took the job, I kind of was like, because when you don't have ties to a place, there's nothing keeping you there. You know, it's easy for you to treat it over any kind of way and then just willy-nilly leave on. But when the winning started happening and the support started pouring in, it's like, hey, I got to change my stance. And I think all of the fair weather people, I'm going to call them primates, all the primates that came to rock with Jackson State because of Coach Prime or Mr. Colorado, keep y'all butts coming out here. Don't run now because he run, but a lot of these folks, they going to buy Colorado jerseys already, man.
I want to say this. Here's a big point, and this right here proves my point. Rohan G, I believe I said that right, they didn't even have clean water. But without Deion, you know, a large percent of the country would not even know that was going on. This is, you know, I'm just talking about a person's impact. And he brought light to that situation. Again, I don't know much about the water crisis there. I know that it happened. I know it was a bad deal with the water plant and how the processing went and all of that kind of stuff. But because of that, because of who he was, he shined another beam of light on a situation that, guess what? You were forcing these politicians to try to hurry and get it fixed, because now you put it in the limelight. You understand what I'm saying? You put it in a limelight where typically that probably would have just been local news. You know, unless you're just a news junkie where you on CNN or MSNBC all day, every day, or whatever the case may be, because he tied that water crisis to his football team. So for the people that's just news junkies, they saw that. I'm not a news junkie. I'm a sports junkie. So I'm a sports junkie. Guess what? Why does Jackson State got to stay in hotels? Because of the water crisis. And that's how it all ties. And that's all I'm saying. We're not saying in the fact that, I'm going to read one more comment up here. I saw this. Here we go. No one in their right mind would turn down a big time job. I want to make sure I get into this piece 12, and I'm going to start with you. I said this on the show with Steve. And there's always a tendency for our black coaches to get the crappiest jobs. I went through the whole list for the past 20 years before it even came out when it was on the show. 1-11, 2-10, and da. I mean, just deplorable. I felt in my heart, Colorado State may be a bigger job, but is it the right job? Every job or every opportunity may not be the best opportunity for you. Some jobs can be career suicide, especially in this arena, in the sports arena. You go and take this job, you may not ever get a job again because it's just that bad. So to his point that I just put up there, him going to Colorado was on the table. There was some mentions about Auburn, but it was Colorado and USF. Both of them are bottom of the barrel jobs as of right now in their conference, overall in college football. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, 12, same to you, Los. 1, is Colorado the right job? And 2, if not, or you think differently, should he have held out and continued his work there at Jackson State, not just for Jackson, but for other HBCUs until he felt the right job comes along? Well,
according to Deion, and I watched the press conference on Twitter, he said that was
God called him there too, huh?
Interestingly enough, God called him there. And let me just say this about, I heard you mention it about God calling this, and that. One, I don't mess with God. And I know he said God called him to Jackson State, but God never told him to stay at Jackson State. So we got to look at it both ways, Coach. And now he said God called him to go to Colorado. So it right now appears to be the best job for him. He had an opportunity, I'm assuming, to go to South Florida, which he would have had some other connections, being from Florida. But we all know this. Prime doesn't do it the regular way. He does it Prime way. And that's when people were putting all this stock in Prime. And that's why I'm happy. I'm sitting back here because we all know who Prime is and who he was all these years first of all, he's a businessman. He's a Hall of Famer. But guess what? He's a businessman. Let me tell y'all something. And I mean, y'all probably noticed this. The cameras have not stopped following Prime since before he got on Jackson State campus. And that same production company, probably his girlfriend or his wife, Tracy Edmonds Production Company, is following him to Colorado. We know we're getting with Prime. So, and like I explained to you, Coach, sometimes we talk about the bigger picture. And I understand he's leaving Jackson State. But I want to point out this to a lot of people. We always talk about a seat at the table. And sometimes we have to position ourselves to influence from another level. And that's what gives me a little bit of confidence in Prime, knowing where he came from, knowing what he's been through. It's easy to say HBCU football and never coached there. And people would say he never went to HBCU. That's right. But now he's coached there. So now he can advocate differently from another position. So that's how I view it. So am I saying that, he can now influence? You talk about coaches. Now there's a coaching tree. Or you coach at Prime at Jackson State. Maybe some other black coaches can go to other HBCUs or other institutions and get head coaching job. We spoke about the money situation when he spoke about, black HBCUs not getting a lot of money, enough money to play these bigger schools. Now he can say, hey, listen, Colorado, if you want to play Jackson State or Lane College or Hampton or Tennessee State or FAM, $500,000 ain't going to do it, my brother, my sister. We're going to need 1.5. So the influence is going to be a little bit different from Colorado. And then the last thing I'll say about this, Prime going to be Prime. I don't think Prime gave up anything. The way how he performed in that press conference today, he coming. And people say, I hope you don't go and I saw the eyes of those players. And some people ain't gonna be there. But that ain't his fault because he about to run a program. And guess what? From 1-11 all the way up. It's a different day and age, an era. And I believe the players are gonna come not only he's not gonna take from HBCUs per se. He gonna come from other Alabama people going, all these people, USC people going. He gonna make it like the guy from USC, bringing all these players in from the portal. And he's gonna do all right. I think he's gonna be fine. Right along either. I don't think he'll be there maybe 3 or 4 years, if that.
Yeah,
Real
yeah, I
quick,
concur.
real quick, Reggie, $2. Coach Prime is swag somewhere around Colorado. Reggie,
I like that.
I like
I
that.
got to write that one down.
I
There,
like that
man.
one. I like that one.
Yeah,
you better put
yeah,
that left foot down, Joe.
I
I
know
love
that's
it.
right.
All right, so
Yeah, around Colorado, that
I
is
like that one. That's good,
yeah,
Reggie. You're gonna
yeah,
coin that one,
hey
brother.
Reggie,
hell yeah.
Reggie, do me a favor, Reggie. I know you watching this on your about 80-inch TV. Lean just a little bit towards that TV for your boy. Go ahead and just get your behind out of here, man. Yeah, dude, Reggie a fool. But anyway, listen up, man, real quick. So I would ask you this 12 before I go to Lowe's.
Yes.
So is Colorado the right job? Or so my question is it the right job? Or should he have said, I don't know if I want to be in 131st ranked school, or maybe I waited a year or two till a better job may open.
I don't think it matters to Deion. And that's when you're dealing with a guy of that caliber, guy, we know who he is. He's borderline, he's arrogant. And I said in the back, we know who Deion is, but guess what? We cannot underestimate, you can't coach, he's a winner. And
Okay.
hey, remember, we always talk about this, coach. You know this. Some coaches got it. And when he took over Jackson State, they weren't very good. Yeah, he had an influence. Some coaches got it. And as of right now, Prime got it from a coaching standpoint. So we'll see. 1-11. I think he's going to bring in. Look at the head coaches he's bringing in now. He may keep some people. We can argue that, but he's going to assemble a great staff. And yeah, of course, Colorado is different from Jackson State. It ain't going to be as easy. He's going to have a culture war. We're going to probably talk about that because we know Colorado, and we know what he brings. Probably a culture war. What he brings to Colorado. But again, like he explained it, Colorado is diverse. They have African-American football players there too. So I think right now it's probably the best decision for coach. That's why they're paying them, and they got awesome facilities. I mean, they're not bottom of the barrel type of program. Not like they don't have anything there. They're not Liberty College. They're like Colorado, like the biggest school in Colorado. So I think for right now, it appears to be the best. I mean, the best deal for him.
I got you. Slows, talk to us, man. What's your to answer that question? Do you think it was the right school?
It's not even about the right school. It's the job. When it's the job, you take the job, and that's what that's about. Ultimately, he wouldn't have been able to have, in kind of speaking somewhat for the SWAC delegation, because SWAC people give you a hard time. Without him having the opportunity to be at Jackson State to put something on his resume, I don't think he would have got the point to get an offer. Like, he interviewed for several Power 5 jobs before this, right? But this is the first offer, is what it seems like, versus, having the opportunity. So without building that resume at Jackson State, I don't think he had a thing. But it's not even a thing of right or wrong for him. It's the fact that it's the job. And I think it's the thing to where it's like he got offered the job versus you brought me in here and you didn't interview me and you ain't going to give me the job. You just going around with me. Because even a lot of my brothers have talked about before, because he interviewed at Arkansas. And everybody's like, how do you think that thing came about? Jerry Jones. Other than that, he don't get the interview at Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? So it's the job. It's not a matter of whether it's right or wrong. It's the job. And, he knows in order for him to have other opportunities in the future, you take this job to try to show people that you can do the job. Even though I'm with you, Brother Kyle, it's a crap job. It's the worst job, but it's the job to show people like, hey, I took the job. You saw what I did over here. And hey, we kind of good to go. Because other than that, he won't get the opportunity to get to the point where he can get to the right job unless you do the next job. I'm a Jacksonian, man, and obviously hope the brother would have stayed a little bit longer. Because like for me, I'll tell you where the wool and the damn rose-colored glasses came over on me when his daughter came there, and she signed on
basketball, right? Or volleyball?
Basketball. When she signed on with the women's team, I'm sitting back and I'm looking and I'm like, man, what we're not talking about, aside from all the stuff like Bomani Jones and everybody else is saying about him, but it's like, here you got a brother, a black man, he got all his kids with him, and he even got his mama with him. We dismiss all that other stuff because we be worried about X's only winning. But I'm like, man, this brother got his kids down here, He raising his kids. He's doing his stuff. He got his mama down here. It's a family affair. Because I felt like when his daughter came down there, in my mind, I'm like, okay, the brother gonna be here the next 3-4 years because Jackson State women basketball team, man, Coach Reed, she got that thing going. They ain't lost a SWAC game in about 2 years, and they should have beat LSU in the NCAA tournament in Baton Rouge. So she got a strong team, but you know, it is what it is. I think the toughest thing is we got to do. And when I look at the SWAC and like the MEAC, sometimes in this totality, we playing musical chairs with our coaches, and we're not trying to get fresh ideas and fresh stuff out. Like, you know, I understand that Coach Dooley had ties to Southern University, but he was over there killing that thing at Prairie View. But then now you post Prairie View and you go to Southern, and he's still Coach Dooley. He just at Southern, you know.
Right.
And it's like the same thing, like Coach Dancy down in Mississippi Valley. Like Valley ain't no world beater, but them boys play hard. But he don't have a lot of stuff. Dancy is a Jackson State dude. Like, but then it's like, man, you hate if we go and poach Dancy from Valley. Because damn, what Valley do? And
Right.
you know, I'm principled on a lot of things. And so, you know, one thing that I'm very principled on is you only in a conference, you only as strong as your weakest link.
Mhm.
So how can we help kind of pull up our worst team to make our conference still be something versus just dismissing it? And you know, I make the point about Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, awesome school, plenty of facilities, plenty of money. But the SEC cover them when it comes to football. You know what I'm saying? And don't nobody care that Vanderbilt is bottom drubbers. If they happen to get a what was my man? Jay Cutler come through there and have a superstar player, good on them. But we don't care if they ever in the SEC championship. But the conference covered them. And that's something the SWAC and the MEAC got to learn for our conference is all our lower feeder teams that's not doing flipping well. How do we still provide that top cover for them so they still matter versus they just being dormant? You know what I'm saying?
No, it makes sense. So here I put this comment up here with Panama City Kane. He said it's a risk-free job. And this is why I don't think it's a risk-free job. I think it is a job because you have to understand this. For him, it's not a risk-free job, which I firmly believe he's going to do well. But if he doesn't do well, they say is already going to say, look at that. All he did was get good players. Also, what it does, it puts HBCUs back because it says, ain't no real coaching in HBCU. You just get some players you can play. That's how it's already being perceived. It's being perceived as 13th grade football. And it's far furthest from the truth. It is not 13th grade football. You understand? It's some good football that goes on there. And so a risk-free job, also, if he doesn't do well, and this is what scares me about the Colorado job, they've been bad for so long, I don't believe it's a coaching problem. I believe it's an administrative problem. It is a problem there administratively that you can only have one a winning season or whatever. You have, think, 3 or 4 500 or better seasons in 20 years. So that goes to show me there's an administrative issue there because you've got plenty of coaches to come through there. So now, again, NILs make a little difference. His name definitely holds a lot more weight. You already see 200. Never have you had 200 people call to go to Colorado from the transfer portal, right? So that's going to make a difference. You understand? But at the end of the day, I want him to succeed. And like I said, I need him to succeed. You know why? So our HBCUs can succeed. Why do I say that? Just because I don't want them to suffer the residual effects of what's going on in Colorado because they'll easily blow that back. See, look, HBCU, you don't have to coach there. You just get some players and blah, 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 blah. And to Carlos' point, there's some good coaches down there. You understand what I'm saying? And there's some good coaching going on. They just don't have prime time after the word coach in their name. So you don't know a lot of these guys. Let me just pop off these two right quick and we'll push this thing forward. Huffer Billy Paul, take it to a Clemson fan, $4.99. Deion has the right philosophy. I pray he has the right coaching capability. I love the guy. And Shad says $4.99, right job or not, they have a dangerous schedule next year. Yeah, we can kind of look into the schedule. I have not looked into the schedule. And Shad also sends, speaking on the coaching, do you think T.C. Taylor should get the gig or they should go big name again. Los, I'll leave that to y'all too. I really, I have to be very honest. I guess what, slap myself. I hope myself.
No, brother, you good, man. I'll jump in there from what everybody said. So if you watched the video that he did right after the game, he advocated for TC Taylor to be the next head coach. I think that the thing that's a little bit tricky was in basically his second season, like as far as the SWAC is concerned, they count that COVID year where they played a 5-game season in the spring. But his second year, TC was the offensive coordinator. But this year, TC had a different position. He brought a different offensive coordinator in. And so to me, I kind of, gave Deion the side eye on it. Like, you kind of move the dude around, but now you telling the AD this who you need to hire. You know what I'm saying? And but most Jackson folks, they would like TC to get the job. And if TC don't get the job, and if we went outside, they would like Coach Dancy to probably come in there over from Mississippi Valley. And I think right now, if you ask anybody that's a SWAC person, and especially a Jackson State, they want a SWAC dude. They don't want somebody talking to SWAC. No, they want somebody that know, like, hey, I'm in the damn SWAC. I know what it is. I'm here. Versus trying to bring somebody outside that don't, again, that don't have those ties. And sometimes I get down on my SWAC folks a little bit about that because we strong about that. It's like the tie that bonds us, man. We don't play around with that stuff. We don't like no outsiders trying to come in the SWAC with that foolishness. The SWAC is a daggone SWAC. Everybody else, y'all stay over there. We don't want nothing to do with y'all. But either TC or Coach Dancy, if they go out and they do anything else, it's gonna be like it ain't gonna be good. And I think to the point, Mr. Colorado, he makes everything so much about him. So a lot of that branding that he did at the university, that's all him. So now some new coach gonna come in there and you gotta you gotta paint over all that stuff, man. You can't come in there because you don't believe that ain't your mantra. That's his stuff. It's one thing if the kids had came up with it and that was their thing, and you kept promoting it for the kids that was in the program. It's another thing when all that's you. So now whatever guy got to come in there, now we got to spend money we ain't got to paint over all this other stuff, to try to figure out the way ahead. So
that's interesting. 12, talk to us. Anything in regards to that?
I mean, and I think that's why I think TC would probably be the front runner. Just to your point, Los, in that he's gonna, some of the stuff is branded for him, but he also wants somebody in there who he knows could take over the reins. And so when the athletic director was sitting there and he advocated for TC, he was just saying, "Hey, we're going to keep everything up like I'm not here." So, for example, the uniforms and how we operate, this, and that. So I guess TC is that guy. I'm not sure. I mean, from a talent perspective, but I guess he's one of the guys who's going to carry on that mantra from what Prime had while they were there. But I mean, I think if that's the second guy in command, by and large, it probably should be him. And for continuity purposes too, because they're going to be a lot of children, a lot of players that stay. Everybody can't go, so a lot of players that stay. And in order to move this thing forward, you're going to have somebody that's to sort of kind of stop the bleeding in a sense, because we got this next season is coming really, really fast. So you got kids you're recruiting, and so somebody has to be there in order to take the reins that Deion left. So I think it could be him.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be really good for the kids and for the players that stay, and then whomever else want to come in. I think the issue is I go back to Shannon Sharp's tape where he's talking this blueprint stuff, and it's like, Deion scares people, right? Because at some point, like in the state, because I wasn't worried about him playing nobody else. The University of Southern Mississippi has ponied up to play Jackson State about 3 or 4 times. The first time Jackson State ever played USM, they played against Brett Favre. And them boys knocked Brett Favre out the game. But Jackson State came up short. And he was going to mess around. If he stayed longer and stayed embedded, he was going to force Ole Miss or either Mississippi State to have to pony up. You know what I'm saying? Because he was generating so much buzz and so much stuff and so much money. And because if you know anything about this world, money makes the world go round. And when you can do the type of stuff that he can do and move money, now everybody got to stand up and pay attention to what the flip is going on because of how he's, moving and stuff like that. And so, unfortunately, TC won't be able to do that aspect of it. But the coaching and the players.
Yeah, real quick, Los, he has a quick question. He says, Los, I know some JSU alum because my mom attended, and they mentioned Mike Minter as a guy. What are your thoughts on that quickly, though, so as we can push this on so we could kind of stay on
Yeah,
time?
I think Mike Mentor, if I got Mike Mentor right, he's the brother at Campbell University that's doing good things. I think he was a defensive back, played for the Carolina Panthers or whatever. Again, if you swag, you want to keep it in house, unfortunately, and not to say that he couldn't come down to Jackson State and probably do good things, but they want somebody that can speak the language, that know the lingo, that know how to navigate down on the reservation, that know how to navigate down in daggone Baton Rouge when you got to play Southern, and that's what we looking for. I think that's what my Mississippians and Jacksonians are looking for more so than anything else.
So let me ask you a question. Is that a problem, though, Los? Is
Hey,
that an issue? Is that an issue where you shrink the pool so small because you're just looking for those type of guys?
I think
Because, and I just bring this up. I understand. I get it. But
I,
if businesses took that model, would they be successful?
no,
So go ahead.
no, brother Kyle, you make an excellent point, and it does. You know what I'm saying? Because now you don't get anybody new in there to do stuff. But if you kind of pay attention to us, like as a deal, so like for example, during our time at Hampton University, our athletic director was Dennis Thomas, right? And Dennis Thomas was a swag dude. He had graduated from Alcorn State, and he was a decorated player down there. Ultimately, Dennis Thomas ends up being the MEAC commissioner. And it's like we have a tendency to just recycle stuff and kind of put people in a position that don't really want to shake the envelope and move the tree to do different stuff. That's why I say like I commend the MEAC for having a female commissioner because now you got a whole fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of perspective on how we gonna move and do stuff. And somebody made a hell of a point. I forget who I was watching who said it. It was like when Coach Mr. Colorado had talked about trying to create a super conference because the MEAC had lost all their teams. We left, North Carolina A&T left, Bethune-Cookman left, FAMU left, and we decimated the MEAC. And when he started talking this super conference stuff, she was one of the first people to pen a letter like, hey, little buddy, stop what you talk about. The MEAC gonna be fine. She addressed that to put that down. And see, it's almost like even the SWAC commissioner, like, little buddy, you got to come out, even with Coach Mr. Colorado moving on, you got to speak on behalf of the conference because you lead the conference. And when you don't do that and you show that lack of leadership, now it's like everybody like, man, what's going on in the SWAC? And most SWAC people, all they care about is if they team winning or not. If they team winning, they don't care about nothing else.
So I just want to say this, and Toy, you jump in here too. Here's what this, and I didn't know this, so this even furthermore pushes my point of why I strongly believe he could have stayed a little longer to change those minds for further movement later. As you say, the blueprint as Shannon Sharp uses, if you tell me they are that thick-skulled about being in the SWAC, like somebody said, the Bloods and Crips, that it's just what it is, that bad. These 3 years meant nothing, but the proof could be in the pudding if he stayed potentially, let's just say 5, maybe 6, where you could really see money moving, real innovativeness coming in, real movements throughout the conferences and just HBCUs as a whole. This pushes my point even further about why. Again, not mad at him. I'm just talking about as a whole. And then a lot of people say, well, he doesn't deserve a better job than the most crap, like I don't say crap job, but the Colorado. Well, those 3 more years give him 3 more years of experience coaching. That's just how I looked at until you got a better opportunity, because this is going to be an uphill fight, even if you bring them recruits in. And I'm going to bring up a point about that. 12, anything you want to say on that? And then I got to push this because I want to go to the other Deion Sanders now in the black and gold.
Now go ahead. No, I'm good. No, point well taken. Right. Yep.
So here's where I want to go. Deion Sanders has been ridiculed highly about his introductory speech. The players. He has been ridiculed highly about his opening press conference. Again, I just was watching the episode with Kim over there on Fearless, and he had Coach JB, Jason Brown, as well as another guy, TJ Moe, I believe. He was a receiver from Missouri. TJ Moe was like in his feelings. Why do y'all have to address him as Coach Prime? Why don't y'all address him as Coach Sanders? I went back and counted. He used the word "I'm coming" 21 times. These are the things that bother. And this is what I was saying that you got to be prepared for. And nobody said when he said, "I believe" at Jackson State, TJ Moe had nothing to say. Instead of saying, well, why he's saying that? He should be saying, "We believe." He's basically, if you go back and look at that episode, he is basically telling Deion what he should have said in his press conference. He should have been telling the players this, and this. Well, Deion addressed quite a few things. I'm kind of just trying to paint the story here and set the table. Deion should have said this. Deion should have said this. This is how you address a team. Deion said, you guys are complacent. How do you know he's complacent? You've been on the campus 5 minutes. These are the things these guys are saying. You don't think Deion potentially in these meetings? Well, coach, why do you think the guys are 1-11? You don't think these people fed him information? Well, you know what? From my eyes, man, the players complacent. They happy. They got nice stuff. They eat well. They don't. I mean, he gathering information through these interviews. I don't think he just said it to say it. He may have just said it to say it. But I'm gonna say this last piece, and I'll let you guys have the floor. You didn't hire Deion Sanders. You hired Coach Prime. You brought him there not because of his coaching acumen. You brought him there because of who he was in his totality. So now that he's on your campus in Boulder, now everybody got an issue. Instead of saying, why in the world would Colorado hire a guy, you want to blame the guy they hired. He didn't change when he got to college. He wasn't over there, all right, we're here at Jackson State and we're going to win one for the Tigers. And then he got over there to Colorado. Well, I'm Coach Prime. I'm coming with my luggage, and it's Louis. He didn't change. But we're mad at this guy who's the same person who he was in Jackson, Mississippi, as he is in doggone Boulder, Colorado. Instead of saying, well, why would Colorado hire a guy like that when he doesn't fit the mold for whatever the case may be? I kind of set that table before you guys answer. Get a quick second to think about it. Huff Billy says, $4.99. Why wouldn't you want Deion to be a success? It will help black boys to hear what he has to say. Deion is expanding the pie. I totally agree. I don't think anybody said we don't want to be a success, but I appreciate your donation. Whoever like to go first, pick up your fork and start eating.
Yeah, so I alluded to it earlier. Remember, you hired, and you said it, Prime, Coach Prime. You hired an entertainer. You've hired a football player / entertainer. He retired. So his first thing is pretty much an entertainer, a businessman / coach / Hall of Famer. They know that president, that AD knows who they're going to get. I alluded to it earlier again. And there may be a culture clash. And I don't know what the guy who you mentioned, I don't know what he is, but it sounds like a culture clash. He's going to go in there and not be who he's supposed to be. You're going to get Deion, whether you like it or not. Hey, the man said in the beginning, when I was a shorty from Florida, the man said he was a shorty. And them guys are like, I'm going to retire my mama. That's what he said. That's how he spoke at Jackson State. That's how he's going to talk at Colorado. And that's who he is. The cameras. So these sports writers, they got to get to it. They need to start writing the truth and covering it from an unbiased lens, because that's who you're going to get. If you think you're going to come in here and change, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'll be disappointed if he came in there and did change, because that's not who he is. And then he said God called him. So again, 1-11, we know not only was the team complacent, but to your point, Coach, in 20 years, they haven't won more than 5 games each season. That whole football program is complacent. So they're lucky that he ain't go on the whole football team, much less just the football players from a 1-11 season last year.
Right. Real quick, I want to say Techstar 305. He says, Coach, not everyone is going to like his style, but that's fine. Scrutiny comes with spotlight. I totally agree.
That's true.
But here's my problem. I always say this. I don't want more than, I want just the same as.
But
Why
Coach,
hold on.
go ahead.
No, I'm going to just say this piece.
Mhm.
Nobody scrutinizing Mike Leach when he in there talking about some damn Pirates and Vikings. That's Mike Leach's approach to his press conferences. He tries to make up. This guy comes in like this. But because it doesn't fit your narrative, it's the issue. And that's the issue. Because he doesn't fit status quo of, all right, team, we're going to win one for the Gipper. You have to understand, that's how he understands to talk through these deals. Like he said, and Los, you got this next. He said, I'm bringing luggage. And it's Louis. That was code word for, I got some good luggage coming, meaning I got some good players coming. He wasn't literally talking about Louis Vuitton. He was trying to say, it ain't no Samsonite, homeboy. It ain't no run-of-the-mill luggage. It ain't no just above-average luggage. I'm bringing in
best of the best.
I'm bringing in some dogs.
The best.
And now, you know, those guys sitting in them in the audience may not understood that, and maybe this TJ Moe guy may not understood what he was saying, but we sure did, and that's why I think he should have stayed a little longer. But Los, talk to me.
He need that Briggs and Riley luggage, man. They give you like a lifetime warranty for that stuff, man. But I wouldn't, you know, the one thing that I know, and especially now, don't bet against him. That's the first and most important thing. Don't bet against him. My takeaway from watching him talk to the Colorado kids and the young folks, and you know, with his persona and being what he's doing, you know, it's like, you know, it's easy, you know, when you're not inside the room with him, but it's like I don't think that message resonates and carries as much weight as it would.
In Boulder as it does in Jackson, right?
Yeah, and then the thing about us, and it's kind of like, you know, me and you had talked about this when, you know, a couple weeks ago, and every time we talk, you know, when it comes to black college football, it's an essence about it. You know, guys tend to respond to the band, you know, and I've been seeing a lot of posts on Facebook, you know, like I'm on Swag Sports Central and all this stuff, and everybody been joning on Colorado's band versus what Jackson State band looks like, coming in, hyping everybody up, getting the team ready, and watching how, you know, like obviously in our conference, in black college football, man, when there's a big turnover, there's a touchdown, the band keeps that energy going, and it spills over and trickles into the field. So be interesting to see how his message resonates. Like, everybody knows he's gonna bring some good kids, and they're gonna be coached up. And you know, kind of when you look at the Pac-12 right now, the team and the standard there is Utah. Like, that's a team like that dude, I forget his name, Willingham or whatever. That's a team. They got good chemistry. They will coach. That's why them beat USC. USC wouldn't even ready to play them boys.
They season records, dog. They are
exactly
season records, dog.
Exactly. And the other key to it is too, when you look at them in the trenches, man, them Samoan dudes not playing with you. They not. And most of that team is coming back next year. I think the only person they may be losing may be the quarterback. So, you know, I'm one of those guys, when I look at a conference or I look at a football team, you got to look at what's the standard in that conference. And right now, Utah is the standard. So if he got some Samoan guys coming in there and some other stuff, I'm with him. But the trenches is where he's got to fill the ranks. And it's just like in black college football. We got good skill guys. We just don't have that trenches resolved yet to be able to really play, you know, consistent, good football every Saturday in and out, you know.
I totally agree. Real quick, Daryl Page, if you said, Coach, I love you, my G, but it seems like you're reaching, please tell me what I'm reaching about. I'm kind of lost. I'm not sure what you mean.
Expound, like we said, Hampton. The standard, you got to expound on that, brother.
Please expound on that, my brother. Right there in Ogden Circle. You know what I'm saying? 499, my God, y'all giving crap to Deion, really? Don't assume he can't lead to a team. And I have to be careful when I read these, because when I say y'all, I'm thinking when you pay for comments, you're talking to the panel. You may be talking to the chat. I don't know. But I don't think anybody said he can't. I think everybody here on this panel has said that he's going to be successful.
I'm not betting. I'm not betting against him.
And you just said don't bet against him. So I'm not, like I said, you may be Paul speaking to people in the chat. I'm not sure in that sense. But Muhammad, Coach V12, been gone for a while, man. I hope you're doing well, man. Matter of fact, I think you out in Colorado, man. Last we spoke. Been dealing with some health problems, man. I hope you're all right, man. I love the message he told them players. Too many softies in football today. Thank you so much for the $4.99 in that sense. They say you hating, dog. They say you hating, Los, but go ahead, 12. I'll let you address it. Go ahead, 12.
Let me just say this. The message, I agree with Los and to the point where he had and you too, Coach, that the message may not resonate as much in Colorado than in Jackson State. But you got to remember that 70% of football players are African American. So when I looked in that crowd today, I saw a bunch of young brothers who, in their eyes, it resonated with, and some of the other brothers too. You know what I mean? And so we understand what the game of college football is about. Let's not get it wrong. You can say what you want to say, you can preach what you want to preach, right? But until you get them W's, that's what we're gonna talk about. And so right now, he pre-gaming right now. We'll see when he get into that season. Once he start winning, he could run around there with a Falcons jersey on, with a JSU hat flipped to the side. He could do whatever he want to do if he's winning. They're not going to worry about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Go ahead, Los. Go ahead.
And to Mr. Dro's point, man, hey, brother, it's not hating. It's just commentating. And, like, what I do is I spend more time around black college football than anything. Like, I'm not, like, no news dude watching stuff. I'm one of these cats that where I want, like, when somebody tell me to be someplace and go someplace to see it, that's what I do. And I pull up and, like, okay, let me post up, let me see what's going on, and let me check the temperature. Okay, all right, I see what we got going on. So Mr. Dro, man, I'm not hating. Man, I do a lot of black college football, watching these games, watching these guys, and I'm a big time Deion fan like everybody else. I mean, he's arguably the greatest athlete, ever, and especially in our time. I'm not going to speak to anything else because you can always throw Jackie Robinson into the fray, Muhammad Ali or whatever. But, based on my age, man, I'm 46 years old. So being a 46-year-old black male, Deion is arguably the greatest athlete of my time. And, hey, he's there. He's going to do it. Obviously, we would have liked him to stay to keep black college football because the thing that you got to understand is, a lot of y'all folks weren't even checking for black college football until Coach Prime got there. Y'all people thinking Jackson State was in Florida, when realizing it was in daggone Mississippi. But with regard, what Coach Prime did was you don't get Hugh Jackson at Grambling if Coach Prime ain't at Jackson State. You don't get Eddie George at Tennessee State if Coach Prime ain't there. You don't get Bubba McDowell to come back to Coach Prairie if Coach Prime ain't there. You don't get Eddie Robinson Jr. to come back to his alma mater and coach if he is not flipping there. So that was the thing. He really, aside from highlighting JSU, most of the other schools in the conference figured, like, we got to do something. And people started doing shit. And
they don't get them all. I get it.
It's all good. Yeah. And people started doing stuff because, and that's how you level up. And that's all it is, man. That's all it is.
Yeah,
I see you, brother Lane.
Yeah, real quick, long for the $2 Nike Pac-12 in Colorado need Prime to be the show. He already talked about uniforms and cleats. That's his deal, man. Some people don't look at uniforms and cleats as a big deal. That's his thing, right? Some people are not big on rebranding. They're big on X's and O's. That's their deal. But it's funny. I put up Colorado's roster right quick. They already got him in the Colorado shirt and visor as the head coach. They got his full bio, but they still got the former staff still up here, but he's listed as the head coach. Let's talk about coaches right quick because we wanted to try to keep this to an hour, but we knew it wasn't going to happen. But we getting through this deal. He hires an offensive coordinator who just got fired from Kent State, who was with Dino Babers over at Syracuse, black head coach of Syracuse, who I have to say finally this year, Syracuse made some significant strides after some time. I've had an opportunity to meet Coach Dino Babers well. I know the offensive coordinator that Deion just hired, and Sean Lewis, who was the head coach through that recruiting time. We had some talks about Yeah, talked about some kids that he had, and that's interesting. That's interesting. Also bring on Uncle Willie. He brings Willie Taggart, and that's spelled with 2 L's. I tell you, Willie Taggart is the anomaly when it comes to black coaches, bro. This dude, the cat that land on his feet, bro. Like I said, he goes to about to get fired at South Florida. Winky comes in, he wins, got 2 good seasons. He gets the job at Oregon. Hey, I get it. Go for it, baby. I'm proud of you. Goes 7-5 or whatever, I think, and Cristobal takes over for the bowl game. And he gets the Florida State job. They fire him in year 2, kind of maybe midway, 3/4 of the year. Goes to FAU. I mean, got big money now. Goes to FAU, has not won over 5 games in any of his seasons there. And now he's on the staff somewhere around doing something. It won't be the OC, but in some form or fashion, some capacity at
Coach,
Colorado. Talk to me.
Coach, so with that being said, right, we already see the prime effect that's assisting other people as well. And I talked about a coaching tree. And so you just expounded on it. You have African-American head coach who, not that many, who always seems to somehow land on his feet, right? So he just gets fired. But then you have Deion who say, come join me. And I think that's some of the things you got to look at Deion to do, hopefully, is create a tree. And everybody may not be FBS coaches, but in order I coached on the Prime. I was associated with Prime, so he could expound, his coaching tree and spread his wings and have people peppered in different places. So I think having an opportunity to hire different people. He hired a white OC, which is fine, but he had ties to an African American at another college. So as long as Prime does what he has to do, he fulfills his responsibility and obligation, I think he'll be fine. I think he's shown that he's to be a man of decent integrity and character. And I think that he knows that, this is a slippery slope, what I've probably done. But as long as I keep it 100, I think he'll be okay. Now, and I see him doing that. I don't see, I watched the YouTube thing, bro. Let me tell you this.
What YouTube?
What it was. It was a YouTube thing about when he first, the day after, and when he landed. He was in the car with his son, the quarterback, and Emmons. He walked in that facility, man, and you could see the man almost kind of like tear up, like, man, like I made it, bro. Like I made it. I mean, look where he came from, right? Nobody wanted to hire him. Alma mater, they bring it to your coach. See, when you put in totality, it's a difference. No one wants to hire the dude. They burning this man jersey. He flipped Travis Hunter. Right, and I'm not even sure. Look, you can expound on that. I don't know if Jackson State reached out to him, courted him, or he went to Jackson State. But however the marriage came together, it was a win-win for both. And now he gets to go to a Power 5 school. I mean, it's almost come full circle, man. So I think with all that energy and all that desire and all that will, I don't think he's gonna forget. And I think the most important thing, I'm gonna keep saying this. He was there at Jackson State. He witnessed Jackson State. He witnessed the ups and the downs. He hopped on the lawnmower to cut the grass. He went to Walmart pretty much and told Walmart come put in the thing. So he understands keenly. He's keenly positioned to say, you know what? I'm gonna put HBCUs and players and coaches in another sphere. And another thing I want to ask you, Lowe's, and I don't know this to be true or not, and we can try to research this. I'm not sure if there's any other African-American coach, HBCU head coach first, that's been elevated to back in the day, Division I school. I mean, outside of FBS school, you can. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know if there was anyone else who coached the HBCU first, HBCU head coach, and then went on to be an FBS coach in history. I'm not sure, but you're pretty much more of a guru on that than I am. We can double check on that. But so to figure out what he's done, it's pretty much historic, to be honest with you.
No, it
very,
is. No, it is
so.
historic, and that's well said. I think when Kyle just had the show when he had Kim on, I think the only other coach that had an opportunity to make a jump, and from what I understand, the Rams wanted Eddie Robinson to join their staff, as some type of coordinator. So, to your point, he probably was the only one, but obviously, Eddie Robinson was dedicated to the program. From my understanding, the way that Coach Prime materialized at Jackson State was, through almost like 6 degrees of separation, right? Somebody knew somebody, and then they got him in the room, and then it went that way. But I mean, you really drove the point home because even Mr. Dro chimed in there to salute you for your comments. But you're right on the historic thing about where he started from to where he's at. And I think that's the thing that kind of have, you hate to, keep going back and keep talking about it because he's already moved on. But that's where Jackson fans kind of get in their feelings because it's like, we the only one who were going to give you a shot, bro. And without you being here, there would be no there. And so that's where folks feel some type of way. Like we didn't expect the man to stay a lifetime. We wouldn't expect him to stay 10 years and nothing like that. So don't everybody get out of it when you talk about my kinfolk back at home. We wouldn't expect the man to stay that long. But we voted for you when nobody else voted for you. And then it would have been nice to almost have a farewell year. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is instead of leaving in that magnitude when we're at our height, right? We on 60 Minutes. We done had college game day come down here. We done had all this stuff go on. And then, man, you gone.
At least the full class go.
Yeah.
Like the Travis Hunt and them go. But I'll say this because I do want to bring up this point.
Go ahead.
The only other coach that I know of was the Jay Hobson guy, which happened to be a white coach that was at Alcorn. Got the job when the Southern Miss, not a Power 5, but a Group of 5, and he went from Alcorn, which happened to be a white coach, he was the head coach at Alcorn, and then he went up to Southern Miss to be there. But
this about the brothers, though.
The brother.
No. I would just
I got you.
No, but I'll just let you know that no other coach has gone from a black school to that level. So I would just put it, but yes.
And then let me go back to V12's point from the coaching tree standpoint that you mentioned. I want to jump in there real quick. Time is going to tell us that, right? Because nobody has a tree like Nick Saban, right? You go out here and you wet the bed and you mess yourself. Nick Saban bring you in, and then
Bill Belichick.
That's what I'm saying. He clean you up, rehabilitate you. Now you Steve Sarkisian out here, you Lane Kiffin all out here, you the brother over here coaching at Maryland out here. So with that coaching tree aspect, it'd be interesting because it's gonna take us time to see if people can start parsing off of his tree like that to go back in there and coach these schools and coach them up and have the type of success that he brings to the table. You know what I'm saying?
His coaching tree is his coaching tree ain't young dudes, right? His coaching tree is not the Nick Saban with the Kirby Smarts, the Will Muschamps, these guys coming along. Bro, he got Mike Zimmer, NFL head coach on his team. You just bring a dude that's a former coach. And somebody said that Sean Lewis wasn't fired. No, he wasn't fired. He stepped down. How many people stepped down from being a head coach to go be the offensive coordinator? The writing was on the wall. So, yes, it's semantics, but I apologize. No, he was not fired. He actually stepped down. That is correct. So I got to keep that correct because I am now a journalist. So I got to make sure. So with that being said, no, he did not step down. I mean, he did not get fired, but he did step down. But I do want to say this piece. Deion's arrogance, which there's nothing wrong, but it got him in this situation. He didn't want to be anybody's assistant coach. So, in fairness to Florida State and any other school, how can I hire, which I'm not saying it hasn't happened, because we've seen Todd Dodge do it from South Lake Carroll and go be the head coach at North Texas, from high school head coach to college head coach, not Power 5 though. Not Power 5. So Deion does kind of follow those footsteps in that sense. But how does a billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar business like a Florida State, which is a business, turn over the wheel to a guy Like I say, just because you play well don't mean you can coach well. Just because you're the valedictorian don't mean you could be the principal of the school. So how do they do that? That's just, to me, I thought that was an unfair ask by Deion. You're not even on the staff. You just come in and say, hey, I want to be head coach, if that was the case. But like I say, what do? We open our arms. Come on, brother. Now, we knew you were Deion, but we also took that chance. Have they, Carlos, you tell me, have they taken any other high school coach and made him a SWAC head coach or MEAC
Uh,
head coach straight out of high school with
I
no other
can't.
experience?
I can't say that. So, like for me, to try to make sure I keep everything in the perspective. So I left home in '95, um, and obviously being in Hampton in '99, and then being in the military. Those 20 years. I have a gap. But the thing that I know about Jackson State, what's happened was, when Coach W.C. Gordon was there, which is the coach that obviously I remember that I started with, when Jackson State was really dominating the SWAC and won 28 games, 28 SWAC games in a row. And we were putting players into the NFL consistently, the defensive side of the ball, like Darian Connors, your Lewis Tillmans of the world, your Barnetts of the world, all this other stuff. And in 1999, the SWAC split, right? And when the SWAC split, they created divisions. So you had an East and you had a West. And so the inaugural SWAC championship was Jackson State and Southern. And so what happened when W.C. Gordon stepped down, his defensive coordinator, James Big Daddy Carson, stepped up to succeed him. Unfortunately, I might be off and wrong on my years, but it must have been around 2001, 2002. Big Daddy Carson passed away of a heart attack. And that kind of sent Jackson State, program in turmoil, right? Because W.C. Gordon had a succession plan. Yeah, and he installed Big Daddy Carson. And then when Big Daddy Carson dies unexpectedly, we just go through this turmoil. So when we were having different presidents, you had your nepotism and stuff like that going on.
But yeah, but what I'm saying is, has there been any?
I think it was one. I think it was one, and I think his name was Coach Bell, and that's why I said all that around the world stuff to say, like, I was in and out of home.
Gotcha.
So the only name
not just Jackson State, but I'm talking about anywhere. But so again, that's the unpopular and untraditional way of getting into coaching. Hey guys, I coached my son in high school. I want to be a Power 5 head coach.
But even to your point, Kyle,
that formula doesn't work. But I'm saying that formula has never. Who do you know has gone from helmet to headset like that? Nobody. You got to show that you got to show that you got something. You understand what I'm saying? And so because I want to push this thing because I know we run out of time, but I'm just saying all that to say we open our arms, give you an opportunity. I'm not knocking at you left. I'm just saying to build that resume to show and show the proof is in the pudding that you can do it, right? And that's fine. I'm not saying, oh, well, you owe us. No, I was just saying, again, I'm only holding him accountable for what he said out of his mouth. If he would have came in and said, hey, look, I'm coming in here to build, of course they're not going to say that, but I'm coming here, Jackson, we're going to win some ball games. We're going to play tough. And that was his story. Hit it. But he went around the world and did all of that. But I want to get back to Colorado if I can.
Okay.
Got to get out of here.
I like it here.
Like it here?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Good combo, man. We rocking.
We got the air conditioner going. You know what I mean? Everything's good. We got snacks, whatever.
Good.
Cane juice. But anyhow, here's what I look at as we get back to Colorado. I want to go back to his speech.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have any problems with what he said in any part of his speech? I'm not going to just nitpick his. I'll let y'all nitpick it. But before I answer that, I got to get these guys because they've been up for a minute. Line of Tactics training $5. Coach Prime was never staying. Check his history records. Love what he did. Just you cannot overstay your welcome. I mean, Dad, not trying to change the subject, but how do you think his son will adjust going from the SWAC ball to P5? You can answer that in the next question. Ham 305 V12. You keep talking good like that. I'm gonna pass around the collection plate, my brother. All right, then. And Muhammad again 499. If anyone hating on Deion lost their mind, would you turn down a promotion at your job? I don't think so. So why hate on a coach? Better yourself. Come on. I've talked about that in the other one. And Ham, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Okay. All right. So since Los took off,
Mhm.
any part of his speech, bothered you?
So I only heard. So initially, when I only heard the clip when he spoke about transfer portal. So as always, people got clickbait. So I only heard the snippet about the transfer portal that was on Twitter. So they said it was a 7.5 minute piece of it. So I guess there are two parts. I only saw the first part of it from the start when he said I was a shorty. And so when saw everything in context, I said, you know what? I had no problem with what he said and how he delivered it. You had he was in front of the AD who introduced him, gave him high five, spoke about how him and AD are kindred spirits in a sense, and this is brother, and I guess they're bonded through Christ and
I
stuff.
love you, man. Love you too.
Yeah, I love you. I love it. They gave all the Colorado spiel. You know what I mean? We went the Colorado spiel, and then he got into the promotion. And for me, I was like, hey, that's what he's been doing. That's what he's been doing. So I had no issues. He didn't disparage anyone. He didn't call anyone out his name. He actually called them some brats for not listening to their parents and not playing hard. There's nothing that he hadn't said. So it's good enough for him to say that to Jackson State players, but when he goes to Colorado, he can't say it to Colorado players. Hey, like they say, GTFOF? I don't know how they say. I don't know how they did.
You got it. That's close enough.
Did I say it right? I don't know how they say it.
Hey, I know what you mean.
You know what they say. So come on, let's keep it real, guys. Let's keep it real, everyone. So I was cool with it. Now someone said it, and maybe some more to it. The end of the speech, I haven't saw that piece yet. But for the first 7 minutes that I saw, I mean, listen. I'm not sure if you play ball, coach. We played ball. He ain't said nothing that Quigley ain't say back in the days that you probably ain't say, coach. If you're not with me, sink or swim. If get out of here. He want to say that like
metaphors and similes. Yeah.
It is what it is. So you can't play Power 5 and be 111 and be soft. It's not gonna happen. So I was okay with
it. So did you hear the question, Los?
Hit the question with me again, and then
all right, real quick. Gus Malzahn made a jump from high school. Yeah, but he came in as a coordinator with them players, not the head coach. That's the difference. So here's the question, Los. Did we lose him? All right, here's the question. No, that's what I was saying. During his speech, was there any part of his speech that you had an issue with?
No. And then what I'll say is, and not to cut you off, Kyle, I'm sorry, but this is what I say. In the day and age that we live in now, with how we want to control the narrative about what we show and what we don't show, it's so hard to discern stuff. So you saw a snippet, right? But you don't know what the conversation was like after he got off camera and after he talked to him. Because even, I make that point because after the SWAC championship, there was a video that came out where he went and talked to the players, and it's like 9 minutes. But then there's another video that's out where everybody is thanking him and pouring him love. So, you got to take these videos nowadays with a grain of salt. You can't put too much thing in there. But again, like my background, been in the military for 20 years, like any leader would tell you, when you lead in troops, company level, platoon level, battalion level, brigade level, the one thing we always tell our officers is you got to come in hard because you can get soft later. You can't come in tiptoeing, tap dancing, doing whatever, and then when people not with the program try to get hard. So you got to come in here and say, hey, let me go ahead and cut everybody off at the knees and cut everybody heads off right now. Because I always like when he mess with people, like when you do something he don't like, he be like, I'm going to let you make it today, but you ain't going to make it tomorrow. So now I have zero problems, with the way he came in and he did his thing because, again, you can't come in there and think that when it's time to get hard, you can't do that. So if you hard now, it's easy for you to start loving people and giving them hugs. You can't bro hug coming in there and sing Kumbaya, and then now you want to come in here and be a full-blown gangster on the back end.
All right, here's
up front. Go ahead.
No, I'll say here's my last. First of all, Prime will have Colorado on probation. He keeps. What is the BS? What is he doing? Like these are the things, but it's okay. Like these are the things. Lincoln Riley bring in 40 dudes in the transfer portal. Like these are the double standards that I don't want to see happen to this. Let's just let it play out. Why is it now he gonna be? Nobody said Lincoln Riley gonna be. Nobody says anything about anybody. What BS is he doing? Because he came in and like, that's what I'm saying. What did he do? And this is why I titled this, "What challenges will Deion face at Colorado?" Because now the temperature has changed. Right? It's okay when you was at Jackson State jumping around, give me my theme music. Yeah. And they da 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 da. Now it's here. What is the BS now? They're both sanctioned by the NCAA. They're both governed by the NCAA. So what did he do different? He actually stopped some people from getting sanctions through HBCUs by finding out some information and making some phone calls. Again,
you know the funny thing I want to jump in now on is like, one of the things when Travis Hunter flipped, and Nick Saban them was like, oh, he paid him, and then I was like, man, we ain't got no money to pay nobody. You see these facilities right here, we ain't got no. But the one thing he said was, he was like, hey, we got him because of homecoming. Like, if you come to home, so it's gonna be interesting to see how Colorado homecomings be.
Well, if you ain't seen that meme on Twitter, it's like, give me my theme music, and then little Colorado people.
Yeah, I've seen all that, man. That junk has been real funny, man. People,
let me say this, and to your question, Coach, and we probably saying the same thing, Coach. We definitely know that one of the main challenges is going to be I said it, the culture shift. That's going to be the main challenge, and how Deion manages that culture shift. But again, I think they got the right person for the job. But to that point, you guys talking about who's to say that Deion don't put some plugs in for some dancing dolls? You know what I mean? or for some Sonic Boom. You never know what he's capable of doing. What the Deion effect we're gonna have from the culture standpoint as well. So we got to be careful with that. I know it's different in Colorado, but Colorado, I've seen some folks out there. Hey, and they get down. Some parts of Colorado, they get down.
Yeah, listen. So Paragon Film Music, $5. He said, really appreciate your show. I love that you're giving all a voice. Also, the guest speakers, Carlos, and I'm coming. #respect. I appreciate it. $5. I'm gonna say this. There was another point where he said in there, y'all don't have no crime. Y'all don't have. See, again, people don't listen to the context. What he was saying was that you don't have any distractions.
No distractions.
You don't have distractions not to be good. Meaning, you don't have to come out and it's some crimes going on right outside the dorms or whatever. I don't know how Jackson State is laid out. I've never been there, but I'm just saying you don't have those distractions. They have actually been burglarized a couple times. Shador and that doggone TJ Moe, didn't he? What's his son's name? Shamara. Like, but you want to hate on him, you don't even know the kid name. Like, those are the things that bother me, bro, because you just don't like the way he does things, and that's okay. But anyhow.
Well, he got for a lot of these misunderstandings. Two things before you go, Coach. One thing I made he may need an interpreter to tell you what I meant was probably, but also he's gonna have a really good PR person for stuff like this.
Yeah, but these are the people, the people on these shows who now want to try to nitpick. Even Jason Wheeler, there's no crime there. What he wanted to say was really white. No, what he was telling
that's not
what
true.
He was that's not true. What he was telling the players was, you really have no distractions. Why are y'all 1-11? You got great facilities.
100%.
You have great facilities. You're not worried about these things. You got nice this. You got parents who love you. You got all these things. You got great teachers. You got great facility. You got great equipment. Why are we 1-11? Yeah. That's what he was talking about. But anyway, I want to push this last piece, and I knew he was going to do 1:30, and I told y'all an hour because I lied. All right, here we go. Last piece. You brought up a piece about culture and how with Deion, I don't think Deion's going to change. Question is, how does Colorado, the university, adapt to Deion? Or does Deion adapt? But I really think, how does the university adapt to the cameras all day, every day, the Barstools, former documentaries? How do they,
I'm one of these cats. I'm an avid reader, and that was the other thing that really helped me write the book because I read a lot. And there's this book I read called "Be Water, My Friend," and it's a book by Bruce Lee's daughter. She took her daddy's writings and basically put the books together and did that. But when you water takes any form. Coach Prime got that. If you winning and coach, this, if you winning, folks don't care. We winning, we coming to the game, we want to see it, everything good. Coach, he gonna be fine as far as being water. He gonna know when to expand, he gonna know when to contract, he gonna know when to blow stuff that like he know how to do that. We ain't even got to worry about that because even to 12's point, aside from entertainment, he a whole celebrity. He a whole icon. So that take care of itself there. If them folks are beating people, them kids gonna come to the game unlike our people come to the game. Because again, like I mentioned before, I'm a season ticket holder for Alabama State. So usually that means I got 5 home games I'm gonna see. And to Deion's point, because our folk don't like to be called out. But the reality of it is I was at Alabama State Prairie View. I was at Alabama State Mississippi Valley. And I was at Alabama State Jackson State. Nobody came to the game for Prairie View. Nobody came to the game for Valley. But they had about 35,000 people showed up. And then to Bama State's credit, it was their homecoming. And even like Prime said, it was like, y'all had this stadium about 10 years. Have y'all ever sold it out? Did I sell it out? Okay, I sold it out. That means I did my job.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem?
Yes,
so man, I've never met the man. Oh, I see you, brother Cal Stalling. I remember you. We served together in Iraq. Salute to you, brother. That's funny. Dude popped in the comments. Yeah, man, that dude, he gonna be fine. And if they winning, Kyle, man, they, the PWIs, them students, they know they already paid for the ticket. We be charging our kids for the tickets. They don't even go to the game. So if them folks winning, they gonna have Coach Prime shirts on, everything else, his jersey. They gonna be playing Must Be the Money.
and let me tell you something.
Wrap it up.
Well said, Los. And to his point, man, look at this. Colorado betting on the Jackson. Here's the funny, and I want to. We got to realize what we had at Jackson State. And I'm gonna close with this. And here's the beauty of now and how we have our stamp on Deion. We have to stand on this. Deion, whatever he does from now on, it's going to be the Jackson State effect. That is beautiful. God, ladies and gentlemen, that's beautiful. Like, he's always going to be known. Jackson State effect. So guess what? Colorado hoping for the Jackson State effect too, right? So they want the money too. They want the sold out games too. They want the publicity too. They want college game day too. They want all the smoke. They want the Jackson State effect, my brothers and sisters. So let's not sell ourselves short. I'm gonna close with this. I think, and I know you from Jackson. I want all my people to just know this. It was a matrimony made in heaven, right? And both parties benefit, and there was an amicable resolution. A seed was planted. It could be when sometimes you have a marriage and you have seeds that's your kids, and sometimes you go separate ways. But guess what? You keep watering the plants, you keep feeding them kids, and them kids gonna grow, and them kids gonna blossom. So guess what? T is for Tennessee. STATE University. TSU. Prime. Let's go. Must be the money.
I know, but you gotta win something. We ain't gonna hate on y'all. Hey, you need to be pulling up when y'all go over there to play them Catholic people up in South Bend when y'all got to go play Notre Dame next year.
We there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The whole family there. We gonna be there. My homie in Columbus, the whole family there. One of my homie's wife went to Notre Dame. He went to state. Gonna be there. Oh, we in there now. Trust me, Lois. Hopefully I see you there. We're gonna be in the house. Trust me.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, brother. I'm gonna have to look at my calendar and see because I normally pick my games. And I try to kill all my HBCU games the best way I can. But I wouldn't have no problem pulling up trying to support y'all in there in
It'd
that
be
thing,
fun.
man.
It'd be
Yeah.
fun.
But I think the thing of it is, just like you talked about, the key for us going forward, or the key for Jackson State going forward, is whoever gets installed. Whether it's TC Taylor, whether we bring in Coach Dancy or bring somebody else in, we got to see, like, we won't know to see how that thing looks. And the dominance probably will not be there. It's the competitiveness, that we need to see. That's the key to the whole thing, because, at one point during this season, hell, Jackson State would be nearby by then at 45, 50 points. It wasn't even no game. You know what I'm saying? And it's only a couple teams kind of play them tough, for whatever reason or another. But I think that's the thing that's going to be interesting to see, just the competitiveness of the whole thing.
All right, last thing, I'm gonna wrap it up, man. I know y'all got to go.
I ain't got nowhere to go. Go ahead.
Hey, you know me, but
I know you.
Hey, we had a long talk.
Hey, he ain't no killer, but don't push him.
For sure.
Hey, real quick, I just want to say this. Did y'all have a problem with him naming his son the quarterback already?
Absolutely not. Hey, nah. He told Buddy, and he told Buddy, and guess what he did? He got dip. He told me, you got dip.
Hey, that boy left the meeting like this.
Oh yeah, he told Buddy, you got the dip.
Hey man, that's the business of it, man. That's the business of it. Because even when he came to Jackson State, a lot of folks had issues with the fact that his son was already installed and not letting compete. Because a lot of dudes got up out of there and ran. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to think that man started as a true freshman off the muscle. You know what I'm saying? Straight up off the muscle. So, I mean, that's the going rate. Oh, let me say this too, because I know you might wrap it up, and I don't know if you're going to give me a last plug. But for everybody,
of course, I'm going to do it now.
I was going to say,
hold up. No, we're going to get the book. We're going to get the book. Go ahead, say your piece, because I want to throw it up that nice and neat. I move myself.
Okay. Hey, man, for anybody that's interested in that thing, I got it out there on Amazon on all platforms. I got ebook, I got hard copy, I got audio book on that thing. I published it back in November of 2019. So, hey, man, check that thing out. And I think, again, I'm a literacy dude. I'm all about reading and writing. And I think we got to be at the point where we always capturing our stories and telling them from the black perspective. And, early on in my chapters, it reads like a memoir, because, again, I'm a Jackson dude. But on the back end of it, just some things that I think that we should do. And obviously, as our black college scene continues to evolve, obviously my thoughts may change. But I still like the ideal of CIAA, SIAC, MEAC, SWAC championship 4-game playoff at the moment, until something else comes up.
All right, I love it, man. You got your opportunity to throw that thing in there, man, make it happen. But send me the link. For those that watch this, if you send me the link to where they can buy it on Amazon, I'll throw it in the description as well.
Yeah, and Los, I know you you know how Bezos works, so you may want to give him an email address or a cash app, so too, because you know how Bezos works. I'm just gonna do it like that for you. We need you to get everything, brother. We need to get 100 on that. So.
Oh no, man, I appreciate everything about that, man. No, that's what it is. But no, I'll get that to your homeboy, like we do.
I'll put it right there. I'll put it in the bottom, man. But like I said, man, hey, if y'all want to follow, I don't know if you got social media or not, but whatever, let them know where they can follow you, whatever the case may be. But man, Los, I want to say this, bro. God working mysterious ways, man. We hadn't talked in a while. We bumped into each other in 2016. Just here a few weeks ago, man, we were in New Jersey at our friend's passing, man, our funeral. We sat there at the house, kind of after the repast, man, and we just had long conversation and talking. And it was awesome, man. I swear to God, your group chat be killing me, though, boy. Y'all boy be ding, 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 ding. It don't never stop, man. But it works that way, man. So big shout out to our good friend Al Tariq Wright, man.
Oh man, long live
New Jersey, brother, son. He from New Jersey, man. Son.
Yes, sir, man.
But again, that's the reason I bring this up, because this is exactly what Shannon Sharp was talking about when he said, "Look at it, she found it already."
Thank you, LMV. I appreciate you.
That's a producer.
Oh,
all right, copy that and put it in there. But this is exactly what Shannon Sharp was talking about when you're talking about going to Savannah State, which is a HBCU, and he started calling off his friends. And he was saying, man, I wouldn't get that back for the world. Bro, We ain't seen these people, haven't seen each other in a while. And we was in that room, me, you, Big John, Cook, Bush, everybody in there acting the fool. Deshaun. I done had Deshaun on here. Dawes on everybody in there acting a donkey as if it was just yesterday, man. And those are the things right there what HBCUs, and that means so much, bro. And I'm not saying you can't have those kind of friends, but I ain't never met Shannon Sharp, and he said the same exact thing that I said. I've always talked about the quality of life, meaning ain't why you in college, man. You know what I mean? Bro, you from Jackson, Miss. Think about this friendship. Jackson, Mississippi, New Jersey, Miami, New York, Dave from Philly. I mean, like that's truly a melting pot. And you know how we are. We gonna segregate ourselves quick. Yo, I'm from the crib, dog. We gonna go here, there, you know, everybody's natural selection. And guess what, man? We made friends for a lifetime, man. And everybody had different paths and different walks in life, but we always remain friends, man. So look, you hear it going off now? They going off now on the doggone thing. They probably watching.
But, no, man, that's what's up, man. And you know, like they say, man, at Hampton University, man, it's just different.
They go Carlos. Look, they go Los. Los was the other Carlos, Spanish Los.
I know, right? Yeah, like they say, man, it's just different at Hampton, man. We don't, we don't mean no harm. It's just different at Hampton. It's funny, Coach. You talked about Deion arrogance. You know how all the other HBCUs give us smoke for our arrogance.
Yeah, we don't see that though.
You got to pull up to the home by the sea.
We don't see that though.
Hey, brother Kyle, brother Kyle, he owned the trip to the home.
Tell me, hey, Kyle.
He came to graduation. My dog came to graduation.
Okay.
I ain't see you, Los.
Bro, I was in there like a mud. I was a business major. You know how we do.
Hey, Coach, now I've been to Hampton Roads, Newport News. Talk to him, Coach. Hey, now you got to check my resume, Los. I got a little bit of miles on my resume now. I got a little.
I got it.
Tell you this. It was almost going down at the Black Mac. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, hey, if you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Drop a bomb for Clue. Drop one of Clue's bomb. Boom, 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 boom.
Hold up. I got you right here.
Hey, man, if you know, you know, man. I can't remember the last time somebody even said Black Mac. Lord have mercy.
Hey, let me tell you this. Because as they used to tell you, boy, in the words of Fat Joe, when it comes to HBCUs,
yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's why Deion got five. That's why Deion got $5 million.
Look at this.
That's why Deion got $5 million. A million. Hey, Jay State was like, "We're gonna give you that $300K." Deion was like, "Hold up, buddy."
Hey man, don't. Hey, I ain't gonna let you do my folk now, Furman. Now, when you get offline, you can talk all the doors you want about Jackson.
It's all good. It's all love.
Hey, you can talk about our water. You can talk about our potholes.
It's all love, man.
But you're just not gonna do it in front of me.
I love it. Listen, man.
601 for life, baby.
That's it, man. That's the beautiful thing about it. I love it, man. It was awesome, bro. Dog, as always, don't be a stranger. You know, you're more than welcome. We talked about this moment in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago.
Bro, and man, all salutes and love to you. And man, hey, anytime, you know, I'm you know, when you publish something, you something like an expert. So if you need the Black College expert to come on, just let me know. I'll be ready to give you whatever you need. And then, you know, I'm out and about. I'll be, you know what? And even if you want to bring that thing back, man, I'm going to the Celebration Bowl. I can give you the commentary piece on that, and we can pull all that in, tie it in, because what folks don't understand, the last point I want to make, I know it kind of brings me back to Mr. Dro, and he thinking I'm hating. And it's like, you know, what Coach Mr. Colorado ended up doing when he decided to leave and do this stuff, he really impacted the Celebration Bowl. And the Celebration Bowl is the only thing that we have between the SWAC and the MEAC. It's something that it's for us, right? It's our game. It's in Atlanta, and it's at the Mercedes. It's at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. And so they treat us differently when we go to buy tickets to the game, making it seem like, oh, tickets sold out, only this section open, or we gonna open this section. And man, I've been to a lot of Black college football games. There's no reason why we should not put 50 to 60-some thousand folks in the Mercedes-Benz Dome for the Celebration Bowl. That's our thing. The more that we let that thing go down and don't support it and don't do nothing, now we ain't got nothing. So you can talk and bump your gums on stuff, but if you ain't ponying up to show up to the game to be one in the seat, hey man, miss me on that. So like I said, the Celebration Bowl is our thing. It's gonna be televised. The unfortunate thing is we needed to give us a little bit more respect and stop making us have a noon kick and at least give us a 2:30 to a 3 o'clock kick, or even a damn 6:30 kick. You know what I'm saying? But if we got to show them, like we talked about, bro, they got to know our purchasing power and our economics is not to be played with. We can do it. We just got to do it and show it so we can keep it. Because right now, because of Jackson State and NCCU, salute to them, they have a really good team this year. So it's going to be a pretty good matchup. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as Coach Prime exits and we start seeing how this thing is going to be in the future, some SWAC schools don't travel well. I see you, Joe. I love you, boy.
All right, man. Listen, man. See, this how these things end up being 3 hours. I said 1:30. We already at 1:45. This is what I be talking about.
Nah, man, I ain't got nothing to do. Hey, I'm retired. I don't do nothing. Yeah, I'm retired.
Me and the coach and I put down. Yeah, nobody's putting down Deion Sanders.
No, man.
We talked about my disappointment because of his impact to the entirety of HBCUs.
Yeah.
I would cheer for this dude. Like I said, I cheer for him the same way I cheer for a lot of folks, man. But man, if I don't say this, then go ahead, Twill. I knew y'all.
Lowe's, do you remember? Shout out to we had a couple Jackson State players from the crib. Didn't the Heidelberg play at Jackson State? A quarterback named what he play?
Daryl Heidelberg. You bringing some memories back when you said Heidelberg. I went to high school with Daryl Heidelberg.
Played at J State.
Yeah, I went to school with Heidelberg.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think from New Orleans.
I think even Heidelberg went to my high school. I think.
No, that Heidelberg from Miami.
It's one from Miami. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I thought somebody went to Jackson State.
No, I went to school with some Heidelbergs. Go ahead.
Okay.
But you said they just said DH did.
Yeah.
So Daryl Heidelberg is the head coach now at New Orleans Senior High School.
Yeah.
Won a couple state championships.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
He won one with Duke Campbell.
Yeah, Duke Johnson. I played ball with his younger brother Damon, and I remember how he's one of the first people we knew from the crib that went to we're going outside of Miami, because everybody go to Bethune or Fam, and they were like Heidelberg going to Jackson State. Why you going to Jackson State? Yeah. So I remember Heidelberg played out that way. Yeah, so that's cool, man. So we got some ties.
Oh, always, man. Always, man. Nothing like 6 degrees of separation, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because you said Daryl Heidelberg. You just said his name right off the cuff like that too. I'm like, dang, bro.
Yeah, I went to school with some Heidelbergs, man. Because I noticed the crazy thing is, as we sitting on here talking, a couple of my high school classmates chimed in. They were class of '96. Shout out to Levon Lane and shout out to Brandon Granderson. And then the cat I served with in Iraq, I seen him post on it like, "Hey, you that same? Yeah, I'm that same lot. That's me."
Nice.
All right, man. This ain't gonna happen if I don't do this. I love y'all boys like yesterday's grease.
I
got to get up out of here, man.
I got you for the book, man. I'm gonna get that. That's how I roll. We're gonna get that book, man, and we're gonna rock and roll. It's gonna be up on my shelf. And then we're gonna go from there, brother.
And then let me know, because what I'll do for y'all, is I tighten my game up, because I try to keep just a few with me. I owe y'all signed copies, man.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for that, because I'm gonna get the U12 through Kyle.
Kyle, get mine, and I Kyle know.
How about this? Y'all hold on. We talk about it in the back, and I'm gonna end this show out. So, with that being said, guys, great show right here, the Coach Me Coach podcast, episode 31. Like Drake, we going back to back. We started off at 8. You understand? Came right back on at 9. My man V12 always in the building. That's my brother from another mother. You understand me? And my man Los Hampton alumni. Let me tell you something, man. The dude is always on Black Collar Football. He goes to the games, the classics. As you just saw on the show, man, he's a season ticket holder. How many of y'all say y'all season ticket holders to HBCU program, man? Not a few, or not a lot of people can say that. And he does, as you see, he's very knowledgeable about it as well. Go check out his book. I'll throw it up right here, right quick. I think it's great. I had a chance to look at it. I'll put it right here. How about I do this? Get out of here, man. All right, here we go. Black Collar Football, the game that time forgot. You understand what I'm saying, man? So go check it out. The link will be in the description, as well as the producer, Ellen, has put it in the chat as well, man. And, hey, man, if you enjoyed the show, on your way out, do me a favor, hit the subscribe. It helps this channel grow. We're going to have more things coming, signing day, all these other things. We got a bunch of stuff. And the WREs are coming back, y'all. I know y'all been killing me, but Coach been grinding. But WREs are coming back. We breaking them down, and we on the stroll, man. So with all that being said, peace, love, and head grease. I'll catch you at the 50-yard line, and I'm out of here. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.